For my next part of the presentation, I'll talk about the brain. So, many people believe that the brain is the identity because the brain is responsible for thoughts and actions, and that people do identify people through their thoughts and actions. For example, even if someone was a nice guy, but their actions told differently, for example, they abused pets, they hurt dogs, their physical identity would be very different from their thoughts and actions. And therefore, because their thoughts and actions are very different from their physical appearance, their identity must be linked to the brain. However, one question does come up is that, does the identity change if the brain suffers trauma or goes through experiences or even gets a transplant? Example, if a soldier comes back from a war and suffers from PTSD, his or her identity may be changed because the experiences before the war and after the war, or the experiences during the war, has changed him or her and thus affect their present lives. In regards to the brain transplant, however, people are unsure whether if a brain was transplanted to another body, would the other person have that identity of the other person? In my opinion, the brain is also linked to identity, adding on to the body identity, in which, yes, the brain is responsible for thoughts and actions, and therefore, regardless of the physical appearance, their thoughts and actions are definitely related to their identity. The video that I have, for example, is from Young Frankenstein, in where the scientist Frankenstein tries to create a perfect human, and Igor, instead of bringing Hans Delbrück's brain, which was a scientist, and a saint's brain, he gives them an abnormal brain. Because it is unknown as to what the identity of the dead person's body was, but when the surgery or the operation was completed, it was clear that the abnormal brain had become the identity. I believe that if a person suffered from a traumatic experience, that would definitely change their identity. This concludes the second part, and we'll move on to the next part right after this.